Hello everyone. I literally just finished Spider-Man 2 and yeah, I want to talk about it. So this is what this video is gonna be. Just a random stream of me just talking about Spider-Man 2. Note this, I will be delving into spoilers for the game. Because I want to talk about the entire game, not worry about spoilers. But yeah, I fucking loved it. It was so good. Okay, so yeah, the story of it. I like what they did with like a lot of the characters. I thought the change they did with because Venom being Harry, if it was pretty good. The origin story of it was fairly similar, like somewhat similar to the ultimate version of Venom. Instead swapping what's it called? Eddie Brock with Venom. Sorry, with Harry instead. Um, okay, and I think that's actually a pretty good one. It connects it with like Norman Osborn's, I guess, character arc or story arc, with him trying desperately to sort of like save his son, and I guess failing at it. Okay, and I like how I love the other character because the game starts off with like you facing off against Sandman, and I liking how they're handling his character because as far as I know, like mostly in granted I'm not like an avid reader of comics, but from what I hear, mostly he tends to be pretty like one note like a criminal who just like robs banks or some shit like that, and he like turns into sand or some shit like that. But in this one, before I guess the events, the start of the game, he was reformed and he tried to live a normal life, but then Craven basically ruined his life in order to bring back the Sandman, so that way he could like have his try to hunt Sandman. And yeah, of course, he ends up having a mental breakdown over it and having a destroyed all kind of moment. Okay, and I thought it was pretty cool how like because after when you beat him, you find this like crystal because it seemed to be that when he was captured, he was incoherent and stuff like that. And Mary Jane tells you that that his mind is scattered. Okay, and across the city, and you need to find these like sand crystals that contain his remnants of his like memories that he's trying to protect. So far, like as I was like piecing it together, you hear him talk about like he seems to refer to some girl being around and then gone, then all of a sudden gone. Um, okay, at first I thought it was like his girlfriend or something, but as you delve deeper into it, you find out it's actually his daughter. Okay, it seems like that he stopped being Sandman for her, like made a promise that he will stop being the Sandman. But unfortunately, the hunter tried the Craven and his goons tried to pull that back out, in order to do it and shit. Um, in order to have their like hunt. Um, and yeah, so yeah, I think it was really dope that they do that. And of course, that's not the only reformed super villain. We encounter there's like this one bit of the game where you're at a fair with like Harry and MJ. You come across oh, fuck, oh yeah, Tombstone. You come across Tombstone, and like he's now a mechanic. He's now working as like, well, I'm not quite sure mechanic or if it's more just like somebody that helps on the track, but he's working at like at the go karts there, and like there's a bit where like one of them crashed into something and the thing flips over, and Tombstone comes in to help the guy out. So yeah. But and also there's Mysterio using his illusion technology for some kind of like how to put it, like some kind of like crazy new entertainment sort of thing. But yeah, um, But yeah, I'm right. But yeah, I quite like pretty interesting that they decided to do like a lot of the villains. Like they could have easily just thrown in those villains as like boss fights, but instead they kind of do the whole character development thing with them, where a lot of them are trying to, I guess, reform and shit like that, like get away from that whole ways. So yeah. But yeah, I think it's pretty a cool way of handling the characters because, like I said earlier, they could easily just throw in a boss fight, but no, they are reformed. A lot of them, at least as far as I know, because I haven't done some of their side missions, more specifically the Mysterio's ones. I haven't really done them, so they could. So as far as I know, they're all reform. They've seemed to be reforming, at least attempting to. But of course, there could be something could happen in the next game, or I could find out something through the side quests. But we'll wait and see for that. But yeah, the and also the end of it was pretty interesting. Because like, well, it for a moment it seemed like Harry was gone, but then Miles resuscitates him, um, and well, seemed to at least giving him a chance to be able to be alive. But and they take him to the hospital, take him to a hospital. But it seems to be that Norman got the wrong idea and think that they well killed him or some shit like that or blah blah blah. Well, they did the best that they could, and at least gave him a chance to like live and shit. Because he was gonna be out anyway. It was the only way to beat the symbiote to get it off of him and shit. Okay, Harry was telling him that like I cannot get this thing off of me. It's possible. You're gonna have to kill me. Okay, to do it. And he used a his what you call it, his anti venom thing on him, and well, in the moment it did like because of how weak he is, it did seem to have killed him. But then, like I said, Miles resuscitated him and brought him back. And he was able to take him to hospital. Um, and then like after that, the doctors I guess brought him to Norman's home, and Norman said and like talking to the doctor, Norman, the doctor told Norman that um at least as far as I remember, his vitals are fine, but his vitals are fine, but they're it's very like the chances are slim on whether he'll ever be recover if he'll ever be able to recover or come back. So yeah, of course he's like Norman is like furious about it. So yeah, in the cutscene he said to get the G formula ready, which I'm guessing that means Goblin formula. So yeah. So most likely in the next one we're gonna have Green Goblin stuff. He even in the post credit scene he visits what you call it. He visits he in the post credit scene in the post credit scene he visits what you call it yeah, he visits uh Otto Octavius in a cell in the raft, asking him, "Hey yo," like asking him, "Hey, Spider-Man, you know who he is, don't you?" And asks him to tell him. Pretty much, well, first he's just like, "Why do you want to know?" And then he's just like, "Because they hurt my boy." And he basically is just like, he basically Otto's just like, good. Sometimes you need to learn what it means to lose something or some shit, or like you need to know loss. Um, and it seems like he doesn't really he doesn't tell him about who he is, about how who Spider-Man is, and then he then Osborn says to well, asks Osborn Otto Octavius, what is he writing? And he says, the final chapter. Now, I don't know what this means in the grand scheme of things. The only thing I think of maybe is that Spider-Man 3 is probably going to be the last Spider-Man game that they'll make. That's the only thing I think of they could probably foreshadow. Though, part of me hopes that that doesn't happen. Would like to be, I would like to see more Spider-Man games from them even after. Well, then again, depending on how it ends, who knows? It could be it could, if they maybe they'll conclude it on like a good note in like a Spider-Man 3. Um, but yeah, but yeah, the story was really good, and like I said, I predict in the next game we're gonna have Green Goblin most likely, and I have a feeling that maybe Norman will become the Green Goblin, try to fight, and will fight Spider-Man because like, hey yo, you hurt my son, kind of a reflection or like a alternate, like a the opposite of like what happened in the Spider-Man movie, okay, in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, okay. Kind of what's kind of the opposite of what happened in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. Um, okay. Where like in those movies, Harry Osborn wanted to kill Spider-Man because he thinking that he killed his father. Um, okay. Um, right when it seemed like that they were like starting to have a much more better and healthier relationship. Well, better and I guess. Um, it's been a while since I've seen the movie though, so maybe I'm wrong about that factor, but I think I remember that being a thing. Um, but yeah, it's kind of you know the kind of flipped away around of that. Um, Most likely though, I have a feeling that later on in that game, most likely most likely Harry's gonna wake up and tell his father that yo, don't hurt him, don't hurt Spider-Man or some shit like that. Um, don't hurt Spider-Man, okay? Um, Saying that that he saved my life and shit like that because like I said, uh, he was gonna die anyway, and then Miles resuscitated him. Okay. Um, but yeah, some of that stuff. Well, I haven't really seen much of. I haven't really played much of these side quests yet. I played a couple here and there, like dabbled into them because I was mostly focusing on the storyline. But yeah, especially during like the parts where where Peter got the symbiote because it made sense within the context of things that he'll be focusing on, like um, trying to do the main what he's trying to do, and also like a lot of these side quests. It kind of interfered with the like the way how he was behaving. Like one I tried doing one of these one of the side missions I tried to do was the one where you're helping Rafe, Yuri, um, helping her with some like cult. When I did that mission, the first time I tried to doing that mission, it had, he had the symbiote on, but the way how he was acting and behaving was very different from how he was behaving in currently in the storyline with the symbiote. You know, he was back to his usual self, really. Okay, okay. And as far as I know, I didn't really get that far into the. I ended up aborting mission. So who knows? Maybe a little bit into it, there would be some differences. Who knows? But yeah. Um, but man, the symbiote though is pretty fun to use. Was pretty fun to use. Um, okay, and also what they do with Lee too in the storyline. How he's basically also, I guess, reformed. Okay, trying to go in a good light. Um, though he seemed to have used. I'm not quite sure if it's permanently like I'm not quite sure if he still has his powers anymore or if they're just kind of like weakened now or some shit. I don't know because he used all of his powers to heal Spider-Man of the symbiote and making him anti-venom. Um, I've kind of granted I did see a spoiler of it online. Thank you YouTube for recommending me a video titled "Final Boss Fight." Anti-Venom versus Venom. Thank you for recommending that video to me while just scrolling through the homepage on YouTube. Um, but yeah, but regardless, I did kind of figure that that was going to be the case because Connors talked about how like there may very well still be traces of the symbiote within Peter, and in the comics, well, like I said, I haven't really read comics, but I just know some stuff because of YouTube. Anti Venom, you know, the origin story for him was that Eddie still after like after the whole symbiote thing, Eddie Brock still had the traces of the symbiote with inside of him. He also had cancer, and he still had cancer and shit like that. And when one day he interacted with Mister Negative, or Doctor Negative, or some shit like that. And when he shaked his hand, um, his powers reacted to the symbiotes within the bloodstream. Not only did it heal his cancer, but also turned the symbiotes from, I guess, black to red, or sorry, black to white, and made him and basically turned him into well. Actually, what happened is that like a symbiote one day attacked him or attacked his store, Eddie's store, some shit like that, and he basically turned and tried to get and that symbiote tried to get the symbiote onto Eddie, but then out came the I guess the anti symbiote, and he became anti venom. So pretty similar to I saw the hints that that was going to be the case, so I figured it was going to be anti venom. Um, that feels pretty dope though. Like that means you could still use the symbiote powers. You know, as Peter explained, it's very much the same as the symbiote, except it just isn't like it doesn't have the that it doesn't have the what you call it. It doesn't have the it doesn't have those like inner voices clawing at him. Um, but yeah, um, but yeah, but yeah, those ones. I think that's it with the story mode I can think of really. I'll probably come around back to it if like I ever think of any other ones. But and would you look at that? While editing the video, I realized that there was some other things I wanted to talk about regarding the storyline that I forgot to talk about. First of all, Craven the Hunter. Okay, how they handled the character was pretty dope. I noticed, like I said, I haven't really read this comic book, but I know elements of it. There were some elements that seemed pretty similar to that storyline, Craven's Last Hunt. Like I said, I haven't really seen it, I haven't read it, but I have seen bits of it online, and some of it did remind me of the stuff that I saw. Most like people who are familiar with comics can probably point it out more better than I could. But yeah, and I thought it was pretty. I thought pretty good way to kill him off is for Harry to do it because they're kind of polar opposites in a way. Craven, because Craven, he's got cancer and he doesn't want to be out. He doesn't want to die from it, be killed by it. He wants to be killed by someone he sees as his equal, somebody who's, well, I guess stronger than him, or at least equally strong, or as strong as him. Okay, he wants to die at their hands instead of from cancer. So I thought it was pretty interesting, a really good choice for, I guess, Harry to do that, because it's kind of the because they're kind of both in the same circumstances, except Harry wants to hold on to his life. Unfortunately, the thing that he's using to do so wasn't exactly good for him. Um, okay, and also like, oh yeah, and that whole like post-apocalyptic shit with these symbiotes like kind of controlling the entire city, it reminded me very heavily of Spider-Man Web of Shadows, with the all symbiotes, just like the symbiote tentacle things, just like, I guess, grabbing a hold of Manhattan. Okay, it was very reminiscent of like Spider-Man Web of Shadows. I'm interested to see if any people will like start making some random videos of bits like from the game in Spider-Man 2. I wouldn't be surprised. I do hear though. I did see a video though of somebody. They found a. I can't remember. I can't remember where it was. Was it in Norman's place? But I can't remember. But like, apparently, you could find a keyboard somewhere, and when you interact with it to play the keyboard, or the piano. I have a habit of pronouncing that word poorly, but yeah, when you play it, the song that starts playing is the opening song for Spider-Man Web of Shadows during that opening moments of the game, um, which I found was pretty funny. But yeah, um, but yeah, you play. But yeah, but yeah, I thought that was I thought those were pretty. I thought that was all that was pretty dope. I don't think I wanted to talk about also is the Scream boss fight, because I thought it was a pretty interesting way of how, I guess, like, the problems that Mary Jane character was facing, and I guess also like Peter's character too, like the differences that, basically kind of like realizing problems, and even so trying to fix it, even though that was like brought out by the symbiote. And it seems very much that the symbiote usually draws out the worst within people, instead of just making them bad or some shit like that. It draws out the most negative parts of themselves um, to the surface. And yeah, and then but yeah, I thought it was pretty good, a pretty interesting boss fight for like for with Scream, Mary Jane, um, where where she was like, getting off at Peter about like all the stuff that like bothers her and shit like that, now drawing to surface, and him like some of it he took like seriously, being like taking them like very seriously in terms of actual like issues and shit like that she may be facing. And of course there's some where it's like, yeah, like, this and this and shit like that. Like some of the issues that she was talking about was like the fact that she is barely able to spend time with him, because he's always like, she like feeling like that she's like, the one that comes last or some shit like that, or like and he just kind of tells them that, hey, that's unfair, people need me. um then there's also like, where she talks about how like, how best way I can say it is like, as far as like, I'm kind of paraphrasing it a bit, but like, to say that, he's kind of useless, how like, that he can't like pay the mortgage or pay or do this or do that, because he can't hold a job, uh in Miss by mention like that. And I can't, I'm not sure if that was the one that prompted it, or like, or that she's like, helpless or something like that. And he just says like, yo, you're stronger than me, you're able to like, you're able to like, you're holding both of us up and shit like that. And he also notices and be like, that, I basically saying that never wanted, like, saying like basically saying that he was being selfish and, never wanted, you to suffer just so I can be happy and stuff. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting um, way to, I guess, like for the game to do character development for these people. Um, okay, and to like notice the issues that these characters have with each other and work through them and stuff. Of course, after the boss fight, she like calls Jameson because she also missed that, like, yeah, she's been like lost for a while and trying to be something that she's not, because like she tried to write a book on the, cause she went to that other country in the DLC and during Miles's game. Well, it first started during the end of the DLC, but then during Miles' games, Peter went with her, and she wrote a book on that particular place, thing that was happening, and nobody read it. Um, and basically tried to, like, do shit with, like, try to go, work with Jameson as a reporter, but she didn't really feel right about it. She didn't really like working for Jameson. And like I said, and then the boss fight, the screen boss fight, she called Jameson and told him to kiss her ass, and said that she quit, which is good. And yeah, and now the other thing I want to talk about is that, like, another post, I guess, like a second part of that post credit scene that happens after the after when you after the one with Norman and Otto Octavius, where basically what happens again? Oh yeah, you see basically, like, first, what's his name? Um, what's his name? Miles and that girl that he likes, the deaf one. I can't remember her name, unfortunately, which is not good. Oh, Haley, that's it. Haley. Yeah, them two seem to have become a thing, which is good. Um, it's nice. And we also meet, Miles's mother, new partner and shit. Because brings him, like, for dinner and shit. And I speculated that it's gonna, like, that the person who's the father is, like, is someone is like some kind of big reveal character or some shit. But then we see him and I'm like, I don't recognize that person, don't know who it is. But then he has a daughter with him, and it doesn't show the face of this one. So yeah, I think I mentioned the name, but I didn't recall the name. Maybe that's like Lincoln to Sword or something. Actually, if I first it came to mind, actually, maybe what if she's actually Silk? Maybe, like, I know one of the other Spider-Man people would become Spider-Man. I may be wrong though. Who knows? But yeah, but yeah, I thought that was pretty dope, and also, like, the end of it, and the end of it too was that what's his name? Miles tells, like, Peter that, hey, yo, like, just be Peter for a while, all right? I can look after the city. So it seems to be that at least for a while, Peter will be retiring from Spider-Man. Of course, he'll come back in when something big happens and he needs the help. But it seems to be that in most cases, it's just going to be Miles, protecting the city and shit, while Peter beats Peter for a bit. He's been Spider-Man for a long time and haven't been able to have a life, spend time with his, like, people that he cares about, and now he'll be able to, which is good. Um, and yeah, I think that's about it that I can remember that I want to talk about regarding the storyline. So, like I guess I'll continue on with the rest of the video. So, yeah. Another one I think I'll probably talk about is the gameplay. Web swinging. I thought they did a pretty interesting change as well. I guess evolution of it, which is a very interesting thing to do because I remember like around when the first Spider-Man movie came out, games came out. Or actually, I can't remember actually if it was how around when I saw this video, but it was from a video from Video Game Toolkit. He was talking about what you call it. He was talking about the he was talking about the web swing in Spider-Man One. It wasn't really a complaint or a criticism when alone. Um, it was more of like I guess he said he would have been nice or interesting if it would have done something like this. And as put simply, the it's to do with web swinging the first one, and he thought like it would be interesting if they were to have it where it could require a bit more skill to it. And I guess they addressed that thing in Spider-Man 2. For one, there is a setting in there is a setting in the game called Web Swing Assist. I'm guessing the chance maybe you probably saw videos of people doing web swinging no assist with no assist, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's something that it's like a setting that you can enable that will assist you web swinging. I know one of the things it does do is that if you're very close to the ground and you try to web swing, it will start the swinging animation before Peter even swung the web. Of course, if you turn it off, you'll just like land on the ground. You just land on the ground instead. Um, but yeah, and also you're more likely to collide with things too if you turn it off. So it's a very so yeah, like I guess that also adds some skill. But then there's also other like maneuvers that you can do, not just the web zip and jumping off the thing as you land. There's also a loop de loop where if you dive bomb, and I mean manually dive bomb, and then hold down the web swing button, you you will do a loopy loop or a loopy loop, and you can gain more speed. Uh, and there's also the web wings, which is also really handy for the when doing the loop after doing the loopy loop and you're getting some speed, you can then shot out and then use the web wings. Then there's also this other one. I can't remember the name of the particular maneuver, but I haven't exactly mastered it either. And it's basically where while you're web swinging, if you press circle and in the direction that your web is swinging from, you will basically do like a kind of like, and you have to do this like right as you're like reaching the end of the building, because then you'll like kind of web around you cast a web and then go around the building basically. Um, so yeah, there's probably more maneuvers, but yeah. Oh yeah, but also is like I can't remember the name of this particular maneuver, but it's where you're like oh yeah, like a where you use yourself as a slingshot. Okay, so that's pretty fun to try and to do and shit. Um, what else is there? Yeah, and then on combat, what they've changed with this one, because the first one, yeah, the combat was all right. It's pretty fun. A lot of the enemies though, at least from memory, like for one, it was very easy to cheese the whole thing about like by webbing enemies against the wall, you can instantly like take them out and shit. Um, like one of the big ways of how I'll just take out a group of enemies is like I will just use a web bomb, and then the that web shoot that allows you to like push like enemies. Okay, so like I would because I think I remember like I maxed it out to the point where you could like push back like tons of enemies. Um, and yeah, first I'll use a web bomb on the group of enemies, and then use that other one, and like push them all against the wall, and then they'll be instantly out like within seconds. But here for one, there isn't anything like that. There is a ricochet one which takes out a bunch of them, but there isn't really, at least as far as I remember, any ones that like push them away. Okay, you can still like do the whole like webbing them up against the wall and stuff like we'll get against any other surface, but like there's so many enemies coming at you that it's like pretty tricky. I'll play on hard, so like some trickiness with the difficulty, and like the game can kick your ass if you're not like being careful with it. And usually how it works, some other words of how it does it or keeps you on your toes is like there's I guess there's three different types of attacks. There are well, the ones I was just like there's like the normal default attacks, which you can just like dodge or parry, and parry's a new kind of move where you just can't block them, and if you parry at the right moment, you can like basically you'll have an open to do like a lot more damage on them. Um, but then but then um one of the other but yeah then there is like this one called, I think it was called crushing attacks, I think it was called. These ones you have to dodge out of the way. You have to dodge out of the way of these attacks. And these ones are like how you know that they're using this is by like on the enemy there'll be like a purple like I guess Spidey sense flash thing around their head, a purple one, and also a particular sound effect too. Meant to indicate that this is a crushing one, and you have to dodge this one. Usually, these ones end up being like very either very powerful attacks or like grabs. Then there is like I think they're called heavy ones, or probably there was something else. These ones you have to parry. You can't dodge them. Well, there's been times when I have been able to, but like that's because of very precise timing. But usually you'll have to like well, either parry them or jump in the air. But mostly I was trying to like parry them. Uh, okay, but yeah. Um, but yeah, it's a good. But yeah, so yeah, like they done a lot good with the combat. Of course, you can play through. There's two different Spider-Mans that you can just jump between. Um, Miles and Spider-Man. Um, okay, each of them have their own little moves and stuff. Extra moves they can throw at the enemy. And of course, they have like a number of variety of ones. Like Peter, well, some of his moves he has like most of his moves you have like two different ones you can switch between. But then there's also like extra some of them also have like three to because you have ones that are your normal default like Spider-Man thing that you can do. Then there's your like symbiote abilities, and then there is your anti-venom abilities. And then Miles also has like the different abilities too. There's the bioelectric one, and then there is the I guess I'll call it the negative energy one. I'm not quite sure what the exact name for them are. Um, but yeah, they're all like really cool, really fun to use and shit like that. Um, but yeah, but yeah, uh, yeah. I think they did a good a good. I think they did a really good did a really good job here with this game. I fucking loved it. I can't really think of any really bad thing about it. Obviously, I'm gonna try and like platinum it in my spare time. Um, Okay. Yeah, I'm fucking loving this game, and I'm really interested what they're going to be doing with the next game that they're going to be making. They're going to be making, because we know they're going to be making the Wolverine game next. So I'm very curious of how they're going to be doing that one, pulling that game off. I know a lot of people are hoping, and I'm also in the same ballpark, that it will be like violent, like the X-Men Origins Wolverine game. That being the only good Spider-Man, I'm sorry, Wolverine game out, which is ironic because it's based on a uh, a a Wolverine movie that is not received very well at all. Um, so hopefully, but yeah, hopefully they will do good with this one, and because of how well they did, like Spider-Man 1 and 2 here, I am certain that they'll do a good job with Wolverine. Okay, but it will be a while till we get like Spider-Man 3, a Spider-Man 3 game. But hey, like I feel like they should take as much time as they need to like let the idea bake in the oven. Um, okay, and I'm really hyped to see what they do with both Wolverine and the apparent Spider-Man 3 they may work on in the future. Um, okay, and yeah, I am very hyped for this. Okay, I am very hyped to see what they'll do with it. Um, uh, okay, and I guess that will be it for this video. So if you like it, like just hit the like button, um, and so it can be pushed out of there in the algorithm, and also like subscribe for get some more content. I just note I stream on YouTube and Twitch. I stream on like uh Friday, sorry, not that. Wednesday, Thursday, and Fridays. Australian Standard Time, either 10 a.m. or 5 p.m. My time. So yeah, would love to jump in. Lately, I've been playing through Silent Hill and Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem, which are horror games. So would love to see you there. But other further ado, I guess I'll see you next time. I will be next time. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.